for the final movie I'm going to be talking about, though I'm still going to have some things to talk about. The last film I saw recently, last and least, you were expecting this. The Emoji Movie. And, wow. Just wow. So, I know a lot of people are going to be first asking, why did you see this? What masochist forced you to do this? And were you drunk or high when you made this decision? Well, here's the thing. I did watch this movie, but the thing is, I watched a bootleg of this, and I don't do that often because if a film ends up being good, because I go into films wanting to be surprised. Like, maybe it could be like a sort of experience where it's like, I'm thinking it's gonna be bad, but then, it turns out really good. Not the case with this movie. And I only did this because this is a film that personally affected me in a way that I'll get to later on. So, first off, I bootlegged the movie. Oddly enough, I got linked to a bootleg of this movie through Pornhub. I'm not joking when I say that. If you... somebody uploaded the film. Granted, it's in like a shitty phone quality and not as good as this. But it's just really bad quality, and it's still it's still like the entire film minus the Hotel Transylvania short, which I think is probably like the only reason I would have wanted to see that movie, because I love Genndy Tartakovsky, and I love the Hotel Transylvania movies. We'll get to those later. But this was a film I knew looked bad, it was marketed bad, and it is bad. Like, I think part of the optimism that I have with most movies probably came from, like, the Lego Movie, thinking, if we can make a really damn good film about Legos, we could probably make a good film out of anything. Like, I actually remember reading an article on Movie Pilot once, how they were going to make a movie about Peeps. I'm hoping that's not a thing. But before we get into this movie, let's talk a little bit about its history with this. So, originally, Sony Animation, after the success of, like, Hotel Transylvania and a couple of other animated films, after the success of Hotel Transylvania, Genndy Tartakovsky, who is the creator of Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, and Symbionic Titan, he wanted his next project not to be Hotel Transylvania 2, but he wanted to direct a Popeye movie, which was something that he had been eager to do for so long now, and he actually announced that he was going to return for Hotel Transylvania 3, but then after that he was going to purely focus on Popeye. And, because of that, because of how enthusiastic he was with the project, he showed behind-the-scenes footage of what it's going to be like, and he actually showed off test footage that was fully animated. It wasn't going to be a scene directly from the movie, but it was going to... It was to illustrate how the tone of the film was going to be and what it was possibly going to be looking like. And from what I saw, like, I know a lot of people, like, especially on, like, Fox News, they complained, like, oh, where are his tattoos? Where's his pipe? And, like, people, really? That's your big complaint? Like, it's test footage. Test footage. There's a reason. Test is in the title of the video. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the test footage is still on YouTube, but it still looks really damn good. Like its energy is hyped. It's very fluent. It's got that signature Genny Tartakovsky flair with, and I was really looking forward to it, and it was received universally positively by like almost anybody who's a fan of animation. But the only problem the only problem about it was that Amy Pascal, the head of Sony at the time, who by the way produced Ghostbusters and Spider-Man: Homecoming, she was the head of Sony Pictures at the time. She was the only one who didn't like it and said like, "Yeah, we'll put that on hold." But instead, she decided for Sony, after the hacking, and before she stepped down as CEO, she decided, no, instead of Popeye, put all of your focus on getting the rights to the Emoji Movie. Which, bear in mind, they were in a bidding war with DreamWorks and Paramount for, and I'm like, who wants this? And then, of course, Hotel Transylvania 2 happened, and Genny directed it, and it was a big hit. And then, he announced that he wasn't going to be attached to the Popeye project anymore, and that he instead was, before focusing on Hotel Transylvania 3, decided I wanted to do Samurai Jack. So that kind of tells you something. Amy Pascal decided, no, a Popeye movie from Genny Tartakovsky, who directed 2 of the top 3 highest grossing films from Sony Animation, the number 1 highest being Smurfs, the first Smurfs movie. But yeah, it's like she decided not to go with the guy who was go with the project by the guy who's making her money, and decides, no, we want emojis. That's what kids want. Yeah, that just shows you just how out of place everything feels. Like, even after Amy Pascal has stepped down from Sony as CEO, she still finds new ways to piss me off. Oh, god damn it. Yeah, and I just don't really get it. It's like, no, we're not going to go with the guy who's made successful movies. We're going to go with an Emoji Movie by the guy who made Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, and the animated Igor movie from 2008 starring John Cusack. And that's actually true. Like, I was looking at the director of the Emoji Movie's credentials, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's pathetic. Like, he's also done storyboard work as well, which, fine, I'm good with that, but as a director, he has not shown anything good. And this film is no exception. Yeah, this, the best way I can describe this movie is this. It's Wreck-It Ralph, it's Inside Out, it's the Lego Movie, it's all these other film ideas that have been executed way better, and then it's just half-assed completely. Like, and I even heard word that this film was just like rushed through production constantly, and you can definitely tell from that. So the story of it is, emojis live in your phone. in the messaging app, which they call Textopolis. And their job is to basically stick to one. Basically, there are different kinds of emojis, and the ones that are face emojis, they have to stick to having one emotion. Except for Jean, who is a special little snowflake, who decides to. Actually, no, he doesn't decide. He's born with, like, different emotions. And you later find out it's a trait passed on from his dad. I'm not really going to go... like, when it comes to spoilers, I doubt anyone's going to bother seeing this movie unless they're, like, freaking masochists who hate their children. But yes, he and basically how it is he gets everybody in trouble because he makes the wrong face. And then he ends up saving the day by making multiple faces. Yeah, a lot of things in this movie, like, that are like that just contradict a lot of the rules that this film sets. Like, you know, it's like they give a lot of people just they just put a bad taste in a lot of other few things. Like, you know, there's a female character who was originally a princess archetype, haven't seen that before, and who's trying to avoid it all and is trying to go against the stereotypes of a princess, but of course ends up, you know, just doing those traits anyway and decides to go with it. I'm like, dude, no. You're basically breaking the rules you set. And the friend in this movie, High Five, I really feel bad for James Corden here, because I've seen the guy do really damn well. I mean, Begin Again is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I loved him in Gavin and Stacey, which he not only co-starred in, but directed. Actually created, sorry, my bad. But he's a talented guy, and he deserves better than this. Like, this is like the second animated film I've seen him in that I thought was crap. The other being Trolls, and I'm like, dude, you're better than this. You really saw gold with High Five, the emoji. And he ends up playing one of the most obnoxious characters I've ever seen. Like, you know, he thinks he's so uptight and thinks he's, like, you know, better than some people, but in reality, he's also one of those people stuck in, like, the loser lounge. This movie made me sad, is what I'm trying to say. Is like, Patrick Stewart, why? Like, you really... This is the film you decide to follow up Logan with. I guess after this is going to diminish your chances of ever getting an Oscar nomination. Although I do hope people forget about that, considering not many people saw this movie. I mean, it's not like with movie 43, where it ruined Hugh Jackman's chance at getting the Oscar win for Les Miserables. Yeah, I because that happens with a lot of actors. Like, you know, that happened with Eddie Murphy with Dreamgirls, and then, you know, Norbit came out, and then it's like, we're going to give the Oscar to Alan Arkin. Yeah, I hope... I'm hoping that's not with Patrick Stewart. Because I want to see him get nominated for Logan. Maya Rudolph in this film, she plays, like, the villain, Smiley. And for the longest time, I thought it was Vanessa Bayer doing her Jennifer Aniston impression. Because I swear to God, that's what it sounded like. If you, like, look up Vanessa Bayer's performance, or her skit as pretending to be Rachel from Friends on like Weekend Update, and you listen to Maya Rudolph in the Emoji Movie, I swear I could have heard that. I thought that it was the same person. It's freaking weird. Yeah. What else is there to talk about this? Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I can talk about. I'm shooting for like 16 minutes on this. Yeah, it's like there were some sequences where I felt like they could have easily worked pretty well. Like there's a scene where they actually where somebody goes into Instagram. Yes, they actually use literal apps in this movie. But one person goes to Instagram and then they step into the photo and then they're in the world of that photo, like where everything's just completely still around them. And I thought that could have worked, maybe. But I don't know. Yeah, I feel like this definitely needed someone like Phil Lord or Chris Miller to handle this kind of film, because maybe it could have worked. Maybe. But then again, I do remember that there was an email through the Sony hacking where even they turned down this movie. Like, no way, fuck that. Yeah, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Like, worst animated movie of the year, and maybe when I recollect my thoughts, and I'm not as sad, I could probably give like a rant that's a little bit more deserving of it. But as it seems, I'm just like, I felt nothing from this movie. And then again, it has been a couple days since I've seen it, so maybe that hatred just dwindled down. That, and I was pretty out of it when I was watching it. I think it was like 3 in the morning at that time. So, yeah. That's all I got to say. The Emoji Movie, it's awful. Don't go see it. I need to talk about something a little bit more positive.